Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, your number one source for income-oriented investing. And in today's video, I'm going to do something very interesting. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I think you guys will enjoy this video, especially if you're American, but also Canadians might like it as well. So to my American friends, you might have noticed that, recently I closed my retirement accounts. And if you remember correctly, I only had US listed funds only in my retirement accounts. And those are closed, and I have one left with a little bit of Misty, the Yield Max MicroStrategy, but the plan is to close that one as well. So what I wanted to do today, and I'm going to make another video to explain to you why I'm not going to be investing in US listed funds anymore going forward. It has to do with quite a couple of reasons, including my non-residency status, withholding taxes, etc. But I don't want to do that in this video. In this video, I want to basically simulate what would my portfolio look like if I was American. What funds would I be investing in, or what are the parallel funds from my portfolio which invest all in US stuff pretty much, but are all Canadian listed ETFs, so ETFs listed on the Canadian stock market. So what would I hold if I was American? Let's simulate that. So first of all, let's just go over very, very quickly my portfolio, because it's very important. So you have about 30% of my portfolio in HYLD and USCL, which are basically S&P 500 covered call ETFs. I repeat, S&P 500 covered call ETFs with 25% leverage. QQCL is a Nasdaq-100 covered call ETF with 25% leverage. And HHIS is kind of like a concentrated Nasdaq, if you will, with covered calls and 25% leverage, except it's not an index. It's only 15 stocks. These are the 15 stocks here. And pretty much all of them are top stocks in the NASDAQ. You'll recognize all the stocks. So that's HHIS. So 90%, guys, of my portfolio are in these holdings. S&P, NASDAQ-100, concentrated NASDAQ. So obviously, you could see that I really, really like index-based, but also mostly big cap US stocks. And then I have the rest, and this is going to be a 10 to 15% exposure, is in Bitcoin. And to get my exposure to Bitcoin, I have three funds. One is MSTE, which is MicroStrategy or strategy with covered calls and 25% leverage, which is, and I'll give you the equivalent on the US side in a second. So this is purely investing in MicroStrategy with covered calls and 25% leverage. You have HBTE, which is a relatively new ETF in Canada, which focuses on Bitcoin leaders, companies, publicly listed companies that are related to the Bitcoin ecosystem. So in here, you have 10% in Bitcoin itself. You have a bunch of crypto miners. You have 10% in MicroStrategy, 10% in Block, 10% in Coinbase, 10% in Galaxy. So it's really Riot, Marathon. So it's 15 companies that have to do with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin treasury companies, Bitcoin itself, and miners. And then you have HBIX, which is literally just physical Bitcoin. Well, not digital Bitcoin, I guess, because Bitcoin's not physical. And all of them, by the way, have covered calls and 25% leverage. So what would my portfolio look like if I was American? Let's go through it together, guys. So like I explained, you have your HYLD and USCL, which focuses on the S&P 500. So let's talk, which is about 30% of my portfolio. So which S&P 500 covered call ETF do I think, or would I probably be investing in if I was American? So there's quite a few options. I'll give you my three top choices right now. It would be T-SPY from Tap Alpha. It would be XDTE. These are both 0DTE S&P 500 covered call ETF. So Tap Alpha is about 14-15% yield paid out monthly. XDTE is varying distributions. And by the way, Tap Alpha, very consistent distributions as well. This one is weekly distributions. They vary, typically a little bit higher yield in the 20 to 30% range, but it varies really, really greatly. Now, I did recently come out, I'm definitely going to publish this video before this one gets published, an important video on 0DT covered call ETFs and how April 9th really killed them because of the daily call. I highly recommend you watch it. But I still believe in 0DT covered call ETFs. A third one I would consider is SPY-I. So right now, if you would put a gun to my head, I think my primary, if not only S&P 500, the one I give a little bit of edge to is T-SPY. I think T-SPY would be my main S&P 500 covered call position. If we do a little bit of total returns here, if we look at, for example, XDTE versus T-SPY, which, you know, they're both 0 DTE. Hopefully you guys could see that here. T-SPY has taken the lead or has the advantage, and I think it always had the advantage over XDT. So I am leaning more towards T-SPY. And if you would just do T-SPY versus SPY-I, for example, from NEOS, T-SPY is actually beating it, even with that dreadful April 9th day, which is pretty cool, which I think, you know, over time, T-SPY is going to start catching up. So, you know, these are the three, I would say, my top three choices, but I'm heavily favoring T-SPY for my S&P 500, if you will, instead of USCL and HYLD. Too bad there's no leverage, but hey, what can you do? And make sure you check out the Q&A I did with the CEO. We talk about this ETF in detail. It seems like, if I remember correctly, once this hits 50 million, they'll even come out with a Nasdaq one, which should be very interesting. Moving on to the Nasdaq exposure, which is a Nasdaq-100 exposure, which is another 30% of my portfolio, which I get with QQCL. I would probably go with QQQI. I think that the NEOS one is really, really doing well. It has a nice 14% yield. Another one also I would consider is the one I used to have in my retirement accounts, QDTE. QDTE. So let me just pause and check out the... So if we do some total return comparisons, if we do QDTE versus QQQ, kind of the same story. April 9th really hurt QDTE, or all 0DT covered call ETFs. QDT was actually beating QQQ. It was beating the index, but now it's not. It's slowly catching up, but you see that it is behind a little bit. And I think with time it might, but again, if there's a big 9% increase in the Nasdaq in one day, it's going to hurt 0DTE. So if we do QDTE, let's do QQQI, the NEOS one versus QQQ. You see how it's really lockstep. It falls behind a little bit. QQQI is the NEOS one in the black. And you could see completely normal behavior. Cover call ETF kind of falls behind a little bit when there's big upswings. That's exactly what cover calls do, right? They cap your upside. But you see that it is lock, stock, and barrel right next to QQQ in terms of performance. It's not beating it, but it's right there. So I really, really like the consistency of QQQI. And the reasoning why I would probably choose QQQI is because if I choose T-SPY, which is 0DTE, maybe I could balance it with a more classic cover call ETF. So I would probably go with QQQI. Also, the management fees are the same, 68 basis points. They're both monthly payers. They're both very similar yield, actually 14% yield, very, very consistent. But hey, QDT, no slouch. Maybe it'll start catching up as well. That is definitely, I would say, my second choice. So that's it for my USCL and USCL, HYLD, and QQCL position, which is my S&P and Nasdaq. So that's already 60%. Now, to replace HHIS, which, like I showed you guys, is really like a concentrated Nasdaq-100. It has these 14 stocks, and soon it's going to have Apple to make it 15. I think the most equivalent one, the thing that kind of reminds me most of HHIS is YMAX. YMAX is the all-in-one solution for YieldMax, and it has weekly distributions, which are cool. Very, very high yield, obviously varying distributions, right? Based on volatility, it's been going up based on volatility and NAV. And I have to say, I'm surprised that the total return on YMAX is actually pretty good. If we do YMAX versus IVV since the beginning, it's actually slightly beating the S&P 500 right now, guys, as of May 13th, which is pretty damn good, if you ask me. So I would definitely have YMAX in my portfolio. It's, I guess, kind of a concentrated Nasdaq, but not really. The more they add to it, the more it becomes kind of like an S&P. That's why I compared it to IVB. But if we compare it to QQQ, it's just under or very close to QQQ in terms of performance, 26.58 versus 27.55. So to me, it looks good. It's something I would definitely consider as a core position as well, kind of like an HHIS. Moving on to Bitcoin. So my Bitcoin exposure, like I showed you guys, is really three things. It's MicroStrategy with covered calls, Bitcoin leaders with covered calls, or crypto companies in the ecosystem with covered calls, and then you have physical Bitcoin itself. In terms of percentage, I think I'll always have the most in probably MSTR in MicroStrategy and the Bitcoin leaders, just because you'll get more volatility, more income with those versus just Bitcoin. I don't know the exact percentages, but I would assume that MicroStrategy and the Bitcoin leaders would be higher. But we'll start with the physical, just the regular, not the physical, the digital Bitcoin itself. You have quite a few options. You have YBTC from Roundhill. You have BTCI from Neos. But I think the ones I would seriously take a look at would be the new ones that came out from Amplify ETFs. You have Biddy, which is the Amplify Bitcoin 24% premium income ETF, which seems like they're going to change the name to 2% monthly income, which is the same thing as 24% annual, right? So this one just writes covered calls on IBIT. Pretty much all the covered call Bitcoin ETFs in the US do that, even in Canada. They'll just hold IBIT and they'll just write covered calls on it, basically, more or less. But this one is actually trying to is basically saying we're limiting the covered calls we're doing to try to get you 24% yield or 24% premium a year, which is very, very easily achievable. They also do weekly out of the money calls, I believe, and they're not covering the whole portfolio. So if 24% yield is enough for you, and it is well enough for me, this is going to capture more Bitcoin upside if Bitcoin goes up than Baggy, which is max income covered call ETF. So does the same exact thing as Biddy, by the way, but it writes on the whole portfolio. It says, where does it say that? Uses weekly call options. It should say it's somewhere on the whole portfolio. I guess I should have looked at this before. But the difference is it's not between Biddy and Baggy. Baggy, you're going to get more. You're giving up more upside for more yield, right? This targets 30 to 60. So they're writing more covered calls. You're going to get more income. You're going to capture less upside of Bitcoin. So the reason I would seriously look at either one of these two, and maybe I would do half-half, but I would lean more towards Biddy because I'm a Bitcoin bull. I think it's going to go up, and I don't want a 24% yield is more than enough, is because of the management fee. They both have 65 basis points, the MER, versus YBTC and BTCI, which are almost at the 1% range. So that's really why. I mean, they're kind of all doing the same thing. So obviously, if you have a choice, you might as well go with the one that has the lower management fee. So for my physical Bitcoin, well, I keep saying that. I keep thinking of physical gold. That's why I would probably consider Biddy as my number one choice. For the crypto ecosystem or Bitcoin companies, there's really two choices. There's SEPI, or I guess it's Crypto Epi, from Rex Shares, which has a very high yield of 42% approximately. And basically, it's own stocks invested in crypto-related activities. So you'll have things like Marathon, MicroStrategy, but also like Tesla, Nvidia, CleanSpark is a miner, Coinbase, Robinhood. I kind of like that. So it's similar to HBTE, kind of, except HBT really concentrate on Bitcoin only. Another choice is LFGY from YieldMax. This also focuses on the crypto industry and tech. I have to admit, I kind of like the portfolio. I think these are weekly. No, are they weekly? Yeah, this is a weekly payout. Since current income, I'm pretty sure this is weekly, guys. Like 99% sure. But anyway, I kind of like the YieldMax portfolio in terms of stocks better. There's Coinbase, a big chunk in Coinbase, a big chunk in MicroStrategy. You have Bitcoin itself, Marathon, Robinhood, Hut8, Eric Trump's whatever company, Tesla Core, CleanSpark. So a lot of the same companies, but I kind of like this one better. Plus, it's weekly. And if we do the total return comparison, SEPI versus the YieldMax one, the LFGY one is actually doing better. So maybe I would get half-half, I would wait and see, but they're very similar, so you're gonna get similar performance, I believe. But definitely one of these two, I believe, for my Bitcoin company exposure. And then last but not least, MicroStrategy. Well, the two that really interest me is Misty, right? The Yield Max MSTR, obviously very, very popular, very, very high yield. Lots of covered calls though, but there's a new entry, MST. MST is very highly leveraged, like those it's daily leverage, 150 to 200, but it does do a weekly call spread. And this one was the first distribution declared, not yet. I'm filming this on May the 14th, but it's, I spoke to Sylvia, it's going to be very, very, very high yield, probably like 70, 80% yield. So I don't think I would be comfortable, to be honest, going all in on MST because, you know, MicroStrategy is a pretty big position in my portfolio, about 7%. But then again, Misty is the complete opposite. It's like lots of covered calls. I'm thinking, guys, I would want to get something in the middle, something between Misty and MST. So I would probably do half-half. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just spitballing here, but that's probably what I would get. So that is what my portfolio would look like, everyone. Of course, you know, maybe a couple of months from now, better funds come out. I wish they would come out with 25% leverage fund. I mean, can you imagine a 25% leverage version of QQQI or T-SPY or YMAX? That would be absolutely amazing. But it seems like MST broke the ice. It's not the leverage. You know, this is more the high leverage, the daily leverage that traders that are specifically designed for traders. So there's no classic leverage cover call ETFs yet. MST is the first swap type daily high trader leverage, but I'm comfortable enough to invest in MST because it has that weekly income, but probably not all. I would probably go half or something like that. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up. I would really, really appreciate it. Are there ETFs you think that I missed that if I was American I should add that are in parallel or make sense versus my Canadian ETFs? Let me know. And don't forget, if you're Canadian watching this, if you like any of these US listed ETFs, you could put them in your RSP and Lira and not worry about the 15% withholding tax, because the 15% withholding tax does not exist in an RSP or Lira. But you guys know, I've said it before, I would always go with Canadian listed because of that 25% leverage really, I think, makes them superior to the US listed funds right now. But hey, maybe they'll come out with different one with a 25% leverage, classic leverage down the line. We'll have to wait and see. But there you have it, everyone. If I was American, these are the ETFs I would consider. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.